welcome back to another ban list, club list, man list, flan list, ram list, team Sam list, OCG ban list time. I don't really know too much about OCG or the format, but it's important to note that the entire game comes out of Japan, and everything in this game is designed around their playstyle and philosophies and directions. Most important of all, I'm very interested to see how will this affect me as a Master Duel player? So very likely we'll see some similarities. Let's jump in to the plan list. All right. Whoa! Slow down. All right. First up, we've got newly unlimited. We got Astrograph Sorcerer. Yay! Is anyone excited for this? The difference between 2 and 3 is essentially negligible, so this doesn't do anything. Penslop is not a fun deck to play against. Who cares? Eclipse Wyvern. Probably didn't do anything over there at 1, so the difference between 1 and 3 is essentially negligible. I don't think it's a starter card per se, is it? Make Pisty? No, you can't even make Pisty. Yeah, I don't think it does anything by itself, so I'm sure this is fine. Now, the problem is that Eclipse Wyvern is once per turn, not once per turn. That's the point. It's not once per turn. So maybe having multiples will do something very silly. I really doubt it, though. Next up, we've got Baldrake. I think this is a residual hit from, like, a couple years ago where they put a bunch of bestials lower and lower, so yeah, who really knows what this is about? You guys are saying a lot of bald in the chat here, okay? Listen. Be respectful to bald dragons, alright? They also are suffering from the emotional heartbreak of losing your hairline, alright? Whether or not they banish lights and darks from the graveyard. Emergency to 2, to 3 from 2. Again, probably just back when Rescue Ace was a good deck. You know how OCG is. Let's put a random card for consistency's sake to 2. Surely that's relevant. Pot of Desires back up to 3. Gosh, I feel like this card's been on the OCG semi-limited list for years at this point, so yep, I mean, it's not really that big of a deal. Sleepy Memory. Pearly cards are relevant in the sense that you can get a guaranteed search from the Mi Amigo, because it reveals 3, and then if you reveal exactly 3 copies, you get the specific one you want, so having 2 when you're trying to get Sleepy might be potentially annoying, so a little minor actual relevance there. And of course, just having more memories is really good in Pearly, so that's good. Wraithsoth is at 3, which I mean, it is consistency, but I believe the Kashtiras are all limited over there. I think they might have a Rise Heart still, but they don't have any of the... Fenrir is banned? I thought he was at 1. Yeah, based, honestly. Would anyone care if this deck stayed banned? Sorry, would anyone be offended or upset if they kept Kashtira gone forever? I really don't think anyone would be too upset about that. Newly simulated Sprite starter going from 1 to 2. Now, they have to just be doing this for the meme, right? Sprite card going to 2 instead of straight to 3, right? It's purely here as a way to say, haha, look. He's like... one of those yokes, huh? One of those yokes. Wait, what? Ash to 2. You know what's funny? They did this years ago. Years ago. I'm talking like 2018 or something. They semi-limited Maxx C and Ash and then immediately brought them back up to 3. This is the second time Ash is yo-yoed on the OCG ban list. This is essentially an entire dedicated discussion in of itself, so I'm not going to rant for too long. Let me try process and eloquently elucidate what I'm thinking right now. Ash is a really weird card where I think it's very good and healthy for the game in the sense that it acts as a 1-for-1 trade for your opponent's cards. The problem is that a lot of 1-for-1 trades in Yu-Gi-Oh! Usually result in gameplay that is equal to did you draw the extender, and then it's just like whack-a-mole, go fish, because all the extenders do the exact same thing as the starters, so you essentially hand loop yourself. So you would have to design in a way where ashing something feels like it does something relevant. Like, ashing a duo drive, for example, is, like, good, because at least you're guaranteed that, like, something changes. Whereas if they go, like, you know, if you ash, like, Bonfire, for example, they can still just draw X and special X and then do the full combo anyway. So that's when these 1-for-1 trade hand traps feel bad. So it's one of those, like, chicken before the egg things. It's like, how do you design archetypes to be fair into Ash? So It's just kind of like which side of the coin you're on there. The other interesting thing about Ash Blossom is that I wouldn't call it interesting. I think it's very terrible gameplay. Ash has essentially just become Call by the Grave. It's become this card that stops Maxx C and the Charmies. That's really like one of the toxic traits of Ash, in the sense that it's a card that has basically become over the years this decent card to have. It's like okay to just 1-for-1 trade with like a search. Holding it for clutch points, like, you know, your opponent goes Engraver, they go tracked, you Ash track, like that, like, feels relevant somewhat, like, depending on the deck and stuff like that. So, in some ways, it's healthy in that regards, but the other ways is, like, Ash has become Call by the Grave. And Call by the Grave, we've all discussed this before in previous examples and stuff, that is a toxic card. Call by the Grave should not exist. Like, that is not a card that should be in the game. So, I think this is cool. It's just weird because it's at 2, so it's just kind of more variance, right? Like, so, I don't know. This is just an interesting thought experiment and discussion to have from Ash, just as an existing card, and what it practically applies in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Since its inception, like 8 years ago at this point, and how it's changed. Sure, I guess. I think this is the same as TCG, right? We have it at 1 or 2? Or did they ban it? Yeah, so old man say no. I guess they're probably just feeling the same issues as us over there. I don't think they play too much best of 3 in OC. No, they do play. They don't play best of 3 in their YCSs, but they still have best of 3 at their local level, I assume, right? So, like, Solemn Judgment just sort of being this card that you go first and play it into every game and archetype and matchup is good. It's really powerful. And because of how consistent decks are these days, you can almost always, despite how many hand traps your opponent has, still just end on something playable. Like a half board of like just a Arthalion and a trap is like really good, maybe with like a backed up hand trap. And then you set Solemn as well, like can really just be a nail in the coffin unless your opponent has like a crazy board breaker hand. Because just hitting like a big Link 2 play, or like a power spell that they are bringing in for going second, like a Duster or a Tactics, like that can be really, really powerful. So it trades in a weird way. The gameplay that Judgment offers, I don't think is very... It's a spell speed 3 card, so you don't really feel like you're interacting too well with it. Like, Solemn Judgment just essentially is just this lifeline that says no to anything. It's not super fun to go second into. It's crazy that it's 20 years old and it's still, like, that good. Ooh. Well, I mean, Dominus Impulse is probably the best one. So... Again, the Dominus cards are also their own discussion and rant in and of themselves. It's just weird, right? Because it doesn't really do anything. It's just sort of like, okay, you're going to get Impulse like slightly less in decks that run this. Like, okay, I'm going to take this out of... I'm going to take the third copy out of my deck and then put it in other... I'm going to put in some other hand trap, maybe. Branded buff, yeah. Impulse is toxic. I don't know if toxic is the term I'd use for Impulse. It's just like, it's just another one of those like, okay, I'm going to trade with your card and then hope you can't extend through it. Right? Which is standard gameplay to some extent, but it's also like weirdly adaptable in many situations. And the destroy effect is also like very powerful if you get a trap into the grave as well. Like that's also a massive problem with Impulse, is like hitting like a big guy that like can summon is usually fine if you're just negating the effect, but like also destroying can be a little bit like oppressive. Oh, welcome back. All right. Not the most fun card to play against. I'm gonna be real with you. Do they still have Elf? That's like the difference between 0 and 1 Toad is like massive. Like it is turbo mega like crazy. Okay, they don't have Elf. Oh, well, this guy's been banned for way too long then. Yeah, like full Omni Negates are not like super fun. Hopefully this doesn't come back to 1 in Macedo before they hit Elf in Macedo. I just don't think those two cards can exist simultaneously. So yeah, I don't know. Toad's not a particularly fun card to play against, especially when your opponent gets to bring it back and do it again. Oh. Do you think this is an interest? I mean, I don't know if you're gonna play this in anything, but there's a world where this is like maybe an interesting like thrust target. You know, some kind of go second deck that can like thrust for meta and then like meta into something. Like, what are like even the best meta targets, right? Like Last Warrior. Is Restrict still a good meta target in 2025? Like, probably not. Ancient Gear Support. Okay, now you're cooking. Meta for Dragoon. Hell, let's go. Habakiri Dragoon. Tribute Haragiri for Dragoon. Trigger Habakiri. Okay, now we're saying things. Now we're using words. I don't know. Maybe there's a world you can play this as like a neat thrust target in a deck that might gain off of tributing. So... not really the funny, like, it has a chance to be crazy. Oh, okay, good. So. So, I will admit, this was spoiled for me. But where do we even begin with this discourse? What do we talk about now? Is it finally just going to be gone forever? It's been gone in the TCG for years. Maxx C recently went to 2 copies 3 or 4 ban lists ago. We were all hoping that the next ban list they would just slowly, incrementally put this card down to 2 and then back to 1, and then hopefully we would have it at 0. It's going really slowly. I assume what's happening here is the repercussions for OCG Maxx C defenders, back when it was initially semi-limited, was maybe like, even the most fervent Maxx C lover would probably not be like, they're not exactly going to kick up the biggest fuss over this card going to 2 from 3. Because you still have 2, and 2 is like a decent number that you're still going to see like 12% of your games or something, 15% of your games. Going from 2 to 1 means that this card is going to be quite uncommon. Like, it's only every 1 in 11, 12 opening hands you're going to see Maxx C, which is fairly rare. It's going to be really miserable to see this card. And it's going to be really unfun to get hit with Maxx C with it being at 1. But basically, the most important thing here to take away from me personally is I just hope this happens in Macedon. Yeah. So, I think what we can realistically draw as a conclusion here is that from their design perspective as a company and for R&D of Konami Japan, they see these cards as linked to one another, which, I mean, naturally, you know, makes sense. That Ash Blossom and Maxx C all being similar being directly in each other's orbit and being used as ways to stop one another or counteract one another. The fact that they're dropping Ash means that they actually do think Ash is bannable per se. So they're willing to drop it because now they're getting rid of Maxx C, therefore Ash doesn't need to exist anymore. So maybe they think Ash is way too versatile. Because that's the conclusion I'm sort of drawing here. Because they see these as like a package deal almost. So it's interesting. So Draco Tail, was it Maliss or Draco Tail has been the best deck in OCG? This is like not really surprising. So Draco Tail hits where I just want to quickly get a small understanding of their metagame. So it's like this kind of like divide between Yummy Draco and Maliss. I think Draco Tail has been pretty much on top of OCG for a while now. All I'm going to say is, regardless of what they do to Draco Tail is a very healthy, balanced deck, I feel. It does have some ridiculous aspects to it. Mostly, you know, recycling Maxx C. All I hope is that if they're going to hit, like, consistency cards like this, I just really don't want them to hit Faimina or Ketu. If they're going to limit Malulu, I can also maybe see, like, Rahu being semi-door limited as well. But if they also hit Ketu and Faimina, Ketu's already, well, I hate them. Why would they do that? Whenever this comes to the TCG, whenever this comes to Macedon, I hope that they let Ketu Faimina exist because, in my opinion, they are the healthy aspects of a modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Card design. It is the ability to make going second stronger. Anything that helps going second stronger is good in my opinion. But wait, Farfa, doesn't Maxx C make going second stronger as well? Yeah, okay, every rule has its exception. In general, I like going second cards to be strong and powerful. Some situations, going second cards can be too oppressive, like Maxx C. Maybe not oppressive. Maxx C is it's worse when you draw it going first, ironically. But anyway, the point is like Ketu, really cool card. Love it for going second. Same with Faimina. I hope that they whenever the Draco Tail inevitably gets hit in Mass Duo, I just hope that they allow Faimina Ketu to exist, because I think they're the best aspects of the deck and the most fun interactive parts of Draco Tail. Well, I guess they're cleaning some house here. Alright, more Yummy hits. Snatchy to 1. I don't personally know anything about Yummy, so I'm not going to comment on it. I don't know if there's a difference between 2 and 1. Maybe it's some grind game. I don't think it affects the end board. I think it's just like longevity. So, yeah. It is actually bad. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So out with the old, in with the new is maybe what they're trying to do in OCG. What happens here? Like if they're killing all of these decks, which I mean, assuming Draco Tail is going to get hit even harder. Wait, it might not be actually. Wait, they might. Wait, so this is alphabetical order. No, it's not actually. Okay, let's go. Yeah, this card was getting out of hand, to be fair, right? Like it's one of those like I like to use the, how do you call it? The machine duplication analogy, right? Machine duplication is a card that only gets stronger with time as they design more cards with less than 500 attack machines, right? So, comparatively, pre-prep, this card cannot be, like, power crept. It will always just get stronger as they make more cards because it will just get more targets. So, this card is, I think, like 8 years old or something. It only gets better with time. So, I do think it's good that this is probably hit now. It's a shame that ritual decks probably were using this in a somewhat reasonable way. Like, I don't know, not speaking and voiceless. But searching Habakiri is a little bit ridiculous. Makes sense, right? Like, this is obviously going to make... This is part and parcel with the whole orbit of the draw hand traps, right? Mulch Army, Maxx C, Ash Blossom, all of them just being in this sort of like same kind of arena of discussion of how they're looked at in Yu-Gi-Oh! is inevitable, right? So because Maxx C is not in the game, clearly they have kept Called By in the game as a way to assist against Maxx C and Charmies. Now that Maxx C is being hit, they no longer need this card to be around. So one would assume, likewise, when Maxx C gets banned, inshallah, this will also get banned in the same place. Not going to spend too long talking about it, but Call By is a card that shouldn't exist. It's a card that is neat and cool in the sense that it stops like a grave effect, and then you can set it and use it on your opponent's turn, but ultimately it's just basically been used as a hand trap deleter. And hand traps should resolve. If you activate a hand trap, it should work and it should stop your opponent meaningfully from going too far in their turn 1 combo. If you draw a call by going first, you just loop a card out your opponent's hand. Which, mathematically, you would think to yourself, oh, well, I mean, I'm also losing a card. I'm trading 1 for 1. But going first generates advantage. So you are almost just always benefiting mathematically against your opponent when you draw call by. You just are always going to be better off. So, yeah, it's a broken card. It shouldn't be in the game. Not in the modern game with what's it called? With hand traps. Well, Fiendsmith is cool. Every deck having Fiendsmith, not so cool. So, glad they agree. How good was the Fiendsmith engine over there? Was it like, did they have everything? Did they ban Lacrima? Did they ban Caesar? What was their Fiendsmith situation? Because weirdly enough, this hasn't been super relevant in the OCG from what I understand. Engraver tracked at 1, sure. Classic OCG, you know, they go for consistency hits over, like, limiting power. So, I guess it would be cool for them to just put the Fiendsmith cards back up and then, you know, keep Close Moon ban. It makes it so that literal light Fiend decks can use Fiendsmith, but I don't know. I suppose at the same time, every deck having the potential access to a Caesar just because they drew Engraver maybe isn't so healthy. Yeah, so it's a weird deck. Fiendsmith is just a little bit too open-ended. So maybe it was a mistake. Splash Mage banned. Yeah. TCG hit Decoder, limiting a bunch of names, but ultimately it doesn't really matter for the most part how many names you scale back in Maliss and then Cyberse decks in general, because a lot of Cyberse cards just feed into each other way too well. So even though, like, you've got one Dormouse, one White Rabbit, one, you know, Field Spell, like, just Cyberse monsters bring back other Cyberse monsters, and 2 equals 5, 5 equals 8 for, you know, terahertz and stuff. Like, you just, there's too much going on with, like, Cyberse monsters, and... You know, your opponent puts a Cyberse monster on the field, you negate it, and they extend from the hand, and then you negate that extender, and then they just link to bring back a guy, and they make like a link 3. It's too much. It does far too much through hand traps. Nice. Based. Okay. Alright, Ryzeal Dedge. I mean, I think Ryzeal wasn't a deck over there anyway, but, listen, if I was ever to say a Floodgate was okay, Bagooska was one of the more tolerable ones. It got a little bit ridiculous with its, ability to... How would you say, also be a component end board piece. I really liked Bagooska going second because it was a nice way to make Zeus since it's untargetable and indestructible. And then you could also turn off a bunch of cards and then summon your Bagooska in defense, turn off some of your opponent's boss monsters, then try and extend through that with link monsters. I kind of like that aspect of it, but it was essentially just pretty much just being used as another layer of disruption versus your opponent. So probably for the best that it's gone, unfortunately. I think maybe they should have just made it kill itself faster, right? But then again, what's the difference between Bagooska lasting 1 turn and 3 turns? In Modern Yu-Gi-Oh, it's sort of like, the whole point is you just stop them for 1 turn, then you kill them, right? So, now. Base. So they're killing Red Ransom and Splash Mage. That's because they are noting that banning Red Ransom and Malice is not enough. I know. For those of you in my last ban list reaction for Masado, all got mouthy and commented down below saying, Farfa, you don't know what you're talking about. Malice is dead. Red Ransom ban kills the Guess what? It's like top 10 in the Duelist Cup right now. It's everywhere. Josh is about to die. He is like this close to Alt F4ing IRL. It is a miserable experience. It's everywhere. Malice is crazy. Red Ransom or not, Cyberse is broken. So they've recognized, okay, Red Ransom ban isn't enough. Let's also ban Splash Mage. And that's everything. I really love this ban list. I know I'm not an OCG player. I don't really even know much about the OCG ban list, but it's interesting to see these design choices and how it translates over for Masado, and just like thinking about these things more conceptually. So yeah, this is really good. What are the current Draco Tail hits? Because, by the way, just 1 Malulu limit is really not enough. Because assuming that it's already as good as it is, and Yummy was the second, like, Yummy, you guys are telling me Yummy has just been killed. Malice has just been very severely hit. Like, Red Ransom ban isn't enough by itself, but they also ban Splash Mage. Like, nerfed Draco Tail with 1 Ketu, 1 Malulu is still really good. Like, 3 Rahu, 3 Faimina, 3 Lucaeus, Cartesia. You've got like branded engine. I mean, I don't know what their branded situation is over in the OCG. Like, the deck is still really good over there, right? Let me just take a quick look. I'm just actually curious. Like, this deck is still gonna be the best deck. Oh wow, yeah, they have Spoon. Okay, you drop 2 Malulu and you just add in 2 more normal summons, maybe like more Cartesias. I don't know how much you can play with Albaz stuff, but yeah, like, they also have new branded stuff. Bro, I'm like, yeah, Draco Tail is, if you're one of the big 3 decks as an OCG player, like their meta is Draco Tail, Yummy, Malice, like, you are very happy as a Draco Tail player. You have gotten away with murder compared to Malice players, so. Alright, thanks for tuning in. This is leave a comment down below. Thanks everyone for joining this long one. There was just a lot to discuss and talk about. So I like getting my thoughts out there and thinking out loud about the game from a design perspective. So take care. See you in the next one. And if you've watched this far, say Farfa was right about Malice. Because I was. Okay, bye.